spoke to us in terms that we could understand. So those all tick the boxes for us. We couldn't actually think of anything that we would like you to do differently or better, because you are so responsive. And if there is something that we need or want done differently and we've asked for it, you've provided it. I can completely trust that everything is being taken care of, which is great. So my name is Kirsten Sinclair and I work for Celtic SMR. My primary role is as an equipment demonstrator, but I've also taken on some marketing roles as well. Celtic SMR supply veterinary and healthcare equipment across the UK and Ireland. So one of our main reasons for getting in touch with Dark Horse in the first place was really to help us look outside of our existing contacts. We're quite well established in the veterinary market, still growing in the healthcare markets, and we just needed something to help us get outside of our existing audience.
Hi, my name is Ethan, one of the PPC managers here at Dark Horse, a Manchester-based performance marketing company specialising in PPC, SEO and paid social. When we first met with Celtic SMR, they hadn't done any Google ads or Microsoft ads. They were brand new to the Google ads world. We sat down with them, set up a brand new account, made sure to take advantage of any Google Ads vouchers, and went through all of their services and products to get everything within the Google Ads account to really hit the ground running with their company.
One thing we knew we did want was really to know exactly where our leads had come from. So we were specific in looking for someone who could give us that. Our managing director, Pete, knew someone who'd recommended Dark Horse, and a word of mouth recommendation is always really good. And then when we spoke to you guys initially, we liked the fact that you were so friendly and approachable and kind of spoke to us as non-marketing experts. You spoke to us in terms that we could understand. So those all tick the boxes for us.
We worked with them on developing first awareness goals, which meant looking at clicks, volume and impressions. And then as we got conversions moved in, we started looking at the cost per acquisition and, more importantly, the return on investments from each of the inquiries that came in. This helped them really understand the revenue and the turnover they were getting from the campaigns, making a huge difference to the overall sales process they had internally.
The agency that Celtic were with when I started working with them just didn't really do anything for us in terms that we paid them, but we didn't ever get any feedback. We didn't know, what tweaks were needed on campaigns or what return on investment we were getting from that. So obviously that's no use. You need to know that what you're doing is worthwhile. And then we moved on to another agency who told us that they could give us what we wanted in terms of being able to track leads back and knowing exactly where each lead had come from. But then when it came down to it, they couldn't tell us that, and for us that was something that was really important. So those were disappointments for us for sure, and those also helped us then to inform what we did want when we started looking for an alternative marketing agency.
Being proactive and being as responsive as we can be with Celtic throughout their PPC journey with us is massively important. We need to understand how all the leads come into the business, how their sales cycles work with them, and more importantly, what leads generate the highest amount of revenue for the company, which means all of this is integral to our relationship and also the structure of the Google Ads campaigns.
That was our main goal, really, was to get a return on investment more than anything else. And then when we initially started, what we wanted to put in place was weekly meetings with Ethan and Leah, who fed back to us how our ads were performing. And what was really good about that, not only was to learn how the ads were performing, but also they would then make suggestions as to changes that they could make and ways to make them perform better. So it was really good to have that constant kind of feedback and flow of information from you to us so that we knew exactly what was happening. We had that in place for the first maybe year or so that we worked with you guys, and then we felt quite comfortable with it, and so we've pushed that back a bit now. We don't feel that we need that, but we know that Ethan and Leah are constantly checking what's happening, because sometimes they'll drop us an email and let us know, this isn't maybe quite working so well, this is what we're going to do instead. So that constant communication is really good. And also for me, that means if we're not hearing anything, then everything's good. No news is good news. I know that we have achieved a good number of new leads, which obviously was our goal, was to reach people that we weren't reaching already. And we've had a number of contacts through the Google ads. And at this point in time, 25% of those have been converted into sales. So the new leads that we're getting, the good leads are good leads, and we are getting that return on investment, which is, that's what it's all about. We want to sell more equipment, and so far we've been able to do that. What is there that we would like you guys to do differently or do better? And it's probably not the best answer, but we couldn't actually think of anything that we would like you to do differently or better, because you are so responsive. And, if there is something that we need or want done differently and we've asked for it, you've provided it. One of the things that were important to us was finding an agency who could talk to us on our level, and someone who wasn't necessarily just going to tell us this is what you have to do, but an agency who was going to give us options and say we could do this or we could do that, and this is why, and explain the thought process behind or the strategy behind the different ideas.
Throughout the first year with Celtic SMR, we were really able to hit that ground running with the results, but now as we move into the age of AI, we need to make sure that we're adapting the account to be as responsive as this, and that includes all their landing pages and the content that comes with that across the Google Ads account. We want to make sure that we're ahead of the curve when it comes to any new AI features on Google, and that's going to be a massive part of the new year plan for Celtic SMR.
I can completely trust that everything is being taken care of, which is great. And we know that if there is an issue, we'll hear about it. So it's fabulous, just a weight off my shoulders, really. It's good.
Working with Celtic SMR has been an absolutely fantastic relationship for myself and Leah. The team have really brought us into their company and made us a part of the wider conversations that are happening that could be affecting the PPC in the future, which is including new websites, new call to actions, and even new services and products that they're bringing into the business, meaning we can always be 10 steps ahead of everything that needs to be happening.